Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. You may notice my voice is a little raspy this week. No, I have not started smoking cartons a day. I think I've spent a little too much time doing public speaking during the last week before the election and yelling at the TV quite a lot. So my voice is a little weak, but we will press on and hopefully it'll be better next week. So what we're going to be looking at this week is what happened during the elections, and we're going to try to deduce a few things from the results. Now, we'll be spending most of our time focusing on Kentucky, but I do want to mention one thing nationally, which is going to be massive importance, and that has to do with a governor race in another state, and that was the governor race in the state of Florida. Ron DeSantis won re-election to a second term. Here's why this is massively important. When he ran his first time in 2018, he ran by 1%. I mean, you can't get closer than 1%. I think it was a little less than 1%, really. But now, 4 years later, he just won re-election by 20%. That is huge. He has taken Florida from being Democrat to purple to now being a strong red Republican state. And he is being seen as now the leader of the Republican Party of America. And a lot of people are wanting him to run for president. However, he has a big obstacle in his way, and that obstacle is not Joe Biden. Joe Biden is, he's an obstacle to a lot of things, but it's not to Ron DeSantis. The biggest obstacle to Ron DeSantis is Donald Trump. See, Donald Trump wants to be president, so it's likely that Donald Trump is going to announce that he is going to be running for president here in the coming days. I believe it'll probably be this coming Monday. Is what's widely rumored that he'll announce his candidacy. And here's the thing, Ron DeSantis can't do that. Here's the reason why. This guy just ran for governor and wins on Tuesday. There's no way he can then announce he's running for a different office on Monday. But Donald Trump can do that. So this is going to allow Trump to have several months of running without DeSantis as an opponent. DeSantis may wind up not running, deciding to bide his time and wait for his next 4-year term as governor to be over and then run. He might run. We'll see. I'll tell you something which would be great, but I doubt it's going to happen. But it'd be a dream team. If Ron DeSantis was to run as Trump's vice president, these guys would be unbeatable. The only problem is I don't know that Mr. DeSantis would want to take the VP position. But I think that would be ideal, and we'll see what happens. Now let's talk about what else on a national level. People are hoping for a red wave, and while there was a little wave, it was by no means a tidal wave. It was good. It was red. It was good the tide came in, but it didn't wipe out everything everywhere. Now, on the state level, it was a tidal wave. Let's now look at some of the state level issues. In the Kentucky State Senate, there were 8 Senate seats open. The Republicans won 7 out of 8 of those. If I was Andy Beshear, thank God I'm not. If I was Andy Beshear, I would be very concerned about that news. In the House of Representatives, it was pretty much the same story. There were 46 positions open in the state House of Representatives. The Republican Party of Kentucky won 37 of those. The Democrats did hold on to 9 seats. Again, not good news for Andy Pandy. Judge executives, there was a bunch of those up for election. Republicans beat Democrats at a rate of a little more than 3-1 for county judge executive positions. Now, there is one local race that is going to have massive impacts, and I don't think most people realize this, and it was the mayor position in the city of Louisville. The Democratic candidate did win. That's what's expected. Louisville is the Democratic stronghold in the state. But did you know this? The Democratic candidate only won by 53%. That means a Republican got 47% of the vote in Louisville. And this is a guy who's never held a statewide office. He's not held a big position before. And he was able to get 47% of the people in Louisville to vote Republican. That is a huge, huge shift there. So we got some deductions about what's going on nationally with Trump and DeSantis. This is some deductions about what's going on with the state level races. Not looking good. Now let's make some deductions about what happened with the Senate race. We had one statewide elected office this past week, and that was for the office of U.S. Senator. I had said last week that the guys running were, we got Rand Paul and Charles Booker. Rand Paul on the far right, Charles Booker on the far, far left. And if Booker could pull out an upset or even make it close, that would be a good sign that Andy Beshear might actually win re-election. Well, what happened? Charles Booker got blown out of the water. After the polls closed, they said that he was defeated within 15 minutes. This is a massive defeat by this guy. Now, here's something interesting. This guy lost election against Rand Paul. He lost his election against Amy McGrath. That's the only victory McGrath has been able to chalk up is against Charles Booker. So this guy has lost, and he has lost again, and he lost by big numbers. So by all normal standards, this guy's political career should be over, but it won't be. I met this guy. I know him a little bit. And this guy craves power and position and all that comes with it. He will be back. So I don't know if he's going to try to sneak in and challenge Andy for the governor's position this year. Probably not, but at least maybe. It is more likely that he'll run for governor in 4 years. So just keep that in mind. You heard it here first, that you haven't heard the last of Mr. Booker. I wish I could tell you something different, but that's just the way that it is. Let's pull some other deductions on what happened with the other statewide elections, and that has to do with the constitutional amendments. We had 2 constitutional amendments up for a vote. Number 1, I talked about the last 2 weeks, saying that the legislature could call itself in for an extra 12 days for any reason, any time of the year. I thought it was very dangerous. It would lead to lame duck sessions and other problems. People of Kentucky agreed with me, and they voted that thing down hard and heavy. And since that has now been defeated, I like to bring up again the idea that I've had. I hope you legislators are listening. Instead of squishing your 60 working days a year and squishing them all into the first few weeks of the year, spread them out. Make it 1 week per month. That would be the exact same number of days. It wouldn't be any extra days in office that the people would have to pay for. It doesn't cause extra money to be spent. It would slow down the process, letting the legislators have more time with their families and letting the people and the legislators have more time to read and think about bills before they come up for a vote, and you still have the exact same number of days you've always had to vote on them. So let's talk about Constitutional Amendment number 2. This was the biggest disappointment of the night by far. This was an amendment that said basically abortion is banned forever in Kentucky. And this bill was defeated. Well, not a bill, a constitutional amendment. It was defeated. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is a major setback for the pro-life movement of Kentucky, but it does not defeat it. And here's the reason why. When the U.S. Supreme Court reversed this decision on Roe versus Wade, it just put it back to the states. Therefore, the state legislature can still just pass laws that restrict abortion. So they can still do it. It's going to be a harder process, but they can still do that to try to cut down on abortions in Kentucky. Now, of course, by doing that, the liberals are just going to take any laws they pass to court. We've got some judges. There's one in particular. I don't like to mention names, but it rhymes with Philip Shepard. He's the judge over in Franklin County, and he likes to just legislate from the bench, declare himself higher than the entire state legislature, even though only represents one little county, and override them and say abortion's legal. So he just got reelected, so we're going to be seeing things go through him as well. And on the state level, there is an opportunity to put on our state Supreme Court some solid conservative pro-life judges. And however, they were defeated by the liberal judges. And so that's not going to bode well either. Do you realize judge positions right now are what's called nonpartisan? They don't show if they're Republican or a Democrat. Now, that's not the way it always used to be in Kentucky, and it needs to be changed back. Here's the reason why. Because you got a bunch of people that realized if they put an R or D behind their name, political winds shift and they wouldn't get elected. So they wanted to hide that from everybody. When a judge doesn't put their political affiliation on the ballot, it doesn't mean that they don't have political feelings. It doesn't mean they don't have political leanings. All it does is hide it from the people. So we need to put something on the ballot next year to again change that back to the way it was. Let us know, what are your political leanings, Judge? Is it Republican? Is it Democrat? Have the guts to come out and say, nonpartisan doesn't mean neutral. All it means is we're hiding it. I'm Lee Watts, and I approve this message. So that's some of the things that we've got this week, some of the deductions we've made from the election results. And in the next few weeks, you're going to be seeing a lot of things gearing up for the presidential and the Kentucky governor's election. Last week, before we sign off, I want to mention two things. Last week, I had mentioned how we reached a milestone of 10,000 subscribers. And that's great. But this week, we added 200 more people in just 1 week. So we're starting to snowball this. That's great. Thank you for subscribing. Let's keep it coming. The more people who subscribe means the more people this video shows up in their algorithms, which means more people are hearing the news from a conservative point of view, and I appreciate you doing that. And the last thing we have here on the program this week is our sponsor. The sponsor of this week's program is an app for your phone. It is an app called Murder by the Numbers. It was created by me. That's right. Always been a fan of Sherlock Holmes and deduction. So I have made an app called Murder by the Numbers. It is free. It's on the Google Play Store right now for Android devices. So I hope you'll download that, play a few games, share it with somebody. If you like it, leave a good review because that really helps. And I think it's fun to play, and I think it'll also be a lot of help for a lot of students because it uses some simple math in there to make your deductions. So Murder by the Numbers, it's on the Google Play Store right now. It's free. Download it, play a few times, leave a review, and it'll be a big help for me. I appreciate that. So that's what we have for you on this week. So until next week, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point, reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.